Should you withhold your music from streaming services like Spotify or Amazon Music? This is a question I see a lot, and it's kind of a hot button issue every now and then. I can totally respect it if that's your decision, and there's a lot of great reasons why people do withhold their music or take down their music from streaming platforms. There's ethic reasons and protest reasons. All of those reasons I respect. Having said that, I think there's 5 key reasons why I think you should leave your music up on streaming platforms. Let's discuss. So the notes from today's episode, I'm going to keep at otherrecordlabels.com/withhold. That's with 2 H's, otherrecordlabels.com/withhold. And a huge shout out to my friends at Infinite Catalog who sponsored today's video, but more on them in just a little bit. What do I mean by people who withhold their music from streaming platforms or don't upload their music at all? Some artists and indie labels just opt not to upload their music to the DSPs, the digital service providers. That includes Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Deezer, YouTube Music. Some artists will remove their music and some artists will not upload their music at all to begin with. So how do you do it? If you wanted to withhold your music or take down your music, well, if you wanted to take down your music, you go to your digital distributor, you go into the album and you click remove from distribution or cancel distribution or delete album. If you're uploading an album and you only want to upload it to, let's say, iTunes, where people pay for a digital download, you would go into the distribution section and uncheck all of the different streaming platforms that you wanted your music to be excluded from. Or you don't use a digital distributor at all and you only sell your digital files on your own website through like Shopify or Bandcamp. But why would you do it? That's the question I want to answer first. Then we're going to get into 5 reasons why I think maybe you should keep your music up there. But why do some people do this? Well, first of all, a lot of people do it out of protest. They don't like Spotify, for example. They don't believe that they pay the artists enough. I agree with that. And so they don't include their music out of protest. Great. Totally respect that. Some people, it's out of protest, but it's for ethical reasons. They don't share the values with some of these big companies, or some of these big companies support artists or individuals that are against their own personal values and they don't want to be associated with that brand. Some artists and labels just want more control over their digital catalog. They don't want their music to be included into the buffet that is streaming platforms. They want to control the price, which you can't do on Spotify, but you can do on Bandcamp. And finally, some labels and artists just want a little bit of exclusivity. Some artists and labels will actually opt to have their music on Bandcamp or their own website digitally for a couple weeks or even a couple months before it's released to streaming platforms. Therefore, the diehard fans will donate a bit more extra money to get early access to it on Bandcamp. Then it goes out to the masses on Spotify a couple days, a couple weeks, or a couple months later. If all of this sounds like you, if this is important to you, if you have reasons why you don't include your music on streaming platforms, I just want to say I respect your decision. I admire your decision. And whatever I say in this episode, I don't want to offend you. I totally believe it's your choice. It's your artist's choice. It's your label's choice to do whatever you want. But most labels I talk to on this show do upload their music to DSPs. And so let's talk about the benefits of actually uploading your music and keeping your music on the streaming platforms like Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Spotify. But first, if you find this topic overwhelming, then there's a chance you find the idea of managing your royalties overwhelming. So I want to introduce you to my friends at Infinite Catalog. They've built an incredibly easy to use platform for indie labels to manage their royalties. Basically, they take all of that money that comes in from Spotify, and yes, I know it's not a lot, and Bandcamp and SoundCloud and Sound Exchange and live sales, and they put it into their system and they spit out this beautiful data that keeps all of your artists in the loop and makes sure that everybody gets paid properly. It's a super easy to use tool, and it's for labels of all sizes. Even if you're only in the early stages of your label and you're making only a small amount of money. I know that feeling. You can get a discount when you sign up through other record labels. All you have to do is go to infinitecatalog.com/otherrecordlabels. You'll also get to see a little bit of a walkthrough of how the software works, and you can do a free demo. Go to infinitecatalog.com, and for a discount, go to infinitecatalog.com/otherrecordlabels. The first reason why I think you should keep your music on streaming platforms is the ability to analyze your analytics. That's kind of redundant to say, but hear me out. A lot of these streaming platforms provide really great data. Now, a huge shout out to Bandcamp, who we don't consider to be a streaming platform, but I just want to say that they also include a lot of great data and analytics. But a lot of streaming platforms will provide you with a back end to see how many people have included your songs or your artist songs on their playlist, what official editorial playlists you've been included on, how many people stream each song every single day, where they're from in the world. and a little bit of data about them. That's kind of helpful. It's helpful for you as a record label as to maybe what types of music or what types of releases do well, so you know moving forward. So it's a little bit of an A&R assistant. For artists, it's kind of helpful, although I tend not to let data drive your creativity, but sometimes I'm like, okay, these few songs do really well. That's good to know. I used my back-end analytics to tell me that yoga studios were using my songs, like 2 in particular of my songs, on their yoga playlists. And I don't know if that like drove how I create. Certainly, I don't think it did, but it did drive like how I would promote. And I actually would pitch like subsequent singles to yogis on Instagram. So data is helpful. The second reason why I think you should keep your music up, and I don't want to sound critical again, I do think you should question your reasons. The primary reason that people exclude their music from Spotify is out of protest, which is great. I've already said that. I believe in that. And I believe that Spotify needs to hear us. But I'm just concerned that you're doing a disservice to you and your art and your artists and their art. And then I'm worried that you're the one who's suffering, not Spotify. I'm worried that your fans are suffering by you not having your music up there. The shareholders aren't suffering because of that. So just question your reasons. Question if you're actually making an impact. And now I'm not saying, listen, yes, I get it. A change starts with one person, but I don't want to see you suffer more. And I don't want to see the fans unable to access your great music because of this protest. Maybe just consider supporting organizations who are making a change, who are advocating in Congress for higher royalties. Maybe keep your music up there, but continue to draw attention and be transparent with your fans about how tough it is to be an artist and how tough it is to be an indie record label. When Spotify raises their prices, maybe show your fans that you think that's a good idea and that people should be paying more for music. $9.99 a month for every recorded song in history is a great deal for fans, but it's not a great deal for everybody else. Even Netflix and Disney Plus cost way more than that, and they only contain a portion of movies and TV, whereas Spotify and Apple Music, all the music in the world, for a cheaper price. It doesn't make sense. So when they raise the price, advocate for that. I get it. It's a bad model, but I just don't want you, your business, your artists, and your fans to be hurt. Understand? Number 3 is the ability to diversify your revenue. I've talked about multiple revenue streams millions of times, so I won't go into it too much. But it's important to diversify where your money comes from. A lot of people who don't include their music on Spotify or want to take it down altogether, it's because they're not doing very well on streaming platforms. Maybe they're seeing more money coming in from licensing on sync, or maybe they're seeing more money coming in from vinyl and physical sales. But for other people, it's flipped. They do better on streaming than they do on physical. And for those people, they're maybe not considering taking their music down from streaming. But the reality is it can fluctuate for everyone, and that's why we have multiple revenue streams. That's why we nurture our sync licensing contacts, because when we can't tour because of COVID, maybe we start getting more sync licensing deals. We start to nurture our email list just in case Spotify curators aren't looking favorably on us. It's important that we kind of develop all of these diverse revenue streams because they all will fluctuate. Maybe there's some months when they're all doing really well. And then there's some months where none of them are doing well. I just think that streaming is one of those pieces of the pie that are really important that we hang on to because we need it all. And sometimes that piece of pie will get bigger. That leads me to number 4, which is to accept the challenge. You might not be doing very well on streaming, and that's why you want to remove your music, because it's not really that big of a protest. You might get a bunch of attention saying, hey, I removed my music from streaming because they don't pay us enough. But deep down, it's because you weren't doing very well. Your artists and your releases weren't doing very well on streaming. Well, why is that? Let's maybe take that as a challenge to us as entrepreneurs to think, maybe we should just work a little harder to try to figure this out. Let's figure out our audience a little bit better. Figure out how to reach them. Figure out how to reach curators at Spotify and third-party playlists. Like I mentioned, if you're protesting out of ethics and principles, good on you. I'm not speaking to you. But some of us aren't doing that well on streaming platforms yet. I'm just maybe encouraging you to rise to the challenge to try to improve your streaming numbers just a little bit. Is it a legit protest or is it just a low-key throwing in of the towel? So for you out there who like a challenge, instead of removing your music from streaming, look for ways that you can increase your revenue from streaming. Just a challenge. Finally, and the most important reason why I think you should keep your music on streaming platforms is because you need to respect your fans. You need to respect all fans, not just the fans who buy vinyl or come to shows or buy t-shirts or sign up for your subscriptions, but fans who listen to music on playlists. I've called them passive fans before. That's not because I'm disparaging them. They just listen to music differently. It's like people who used to listen to music on the radio. They're still music fans and they're still valuable. There's still a piece of that overall pie. So we as record labels should serve them however they like to listen to music, even if that's just on the radio while they're driving to work, even if that's just at a playlist at the gym or at the yoga studio and they don't know who we are, but in a way they still pay for music. Not a lot, but they still consume music. Understand that since streaming platforms, the average household spend on the music industry has gone up. Are we seeing a lot of that money? No, but more homes are paying for music on a yearly basis than ever before. And streaming does something too, is it makes music accessible to a lot of people globally and people of different financial situations. So I don't know if I want to remove their access to my music. I don't know. I don't know if I should be forcing them to be paying $30 for a deluxe vinyl if all that they can afford is $9 a month. I don't know. When we go back to what I mentioned before of rising to the challenge, there might be a lot of passive music fans out there who are really interested in your genre or your micro subgenre, but they just haven't discovered your releases yet. But because of streaming and the smorgasbord of streaming, they're getting a chance to deep dive into your genre, into your weird, obscure, super specific genre at no extra cost. And hopefully those people will grow. That genre will grow. Your sound will grow. And more people will discover your label and your releases. So I think it's important that we respect fans and how they listen to music. In the same way that we don't like it when people disparage tape labels or people who enjoy cassette culture because it's impractical. Well, we shouldn't really disparage people who listen to music on playlists or streaming, but for different reasons. Go to otherrecordlabels.com/withhold. Again, I totally respect your decision. If you want to take down your music, if you have been taking down your music, please leave a comment below. I want to know what your thoughts are on this. If you have withholded your music or you've taken them down, please let me know why. I totally respect your opinion. If you don't think you'll ever do that and you think that having your music up on DSPs is valuable for your music and your label, please let me know in the comments below as well. And again, make sure you check out our friends at Infinite Catalog. They are the best solution for managing royalties for record labels of all sizes. They're super friendly, super easy to use. Go ahead and check them out. Thanks for watching.